Great point.
And what does it take to make what does it take to make the good cops step out? Like what would it take? People were really quick to show me, all the videos of, you got to watch this one. This is an officer forcefully taking the knee off of a protester's neck, getting the knee of a fellow officer's off his neck. He's fixing it. And I said, yeah. And I looked at it again. I said, yeah, but the protester was white. I mean, I didn't want to do that, but it forced me to look at it that way. I'm like, yeah, that's good, but I'm still looking at it. Why did they do it? And it came after the other piece. But what is it going to take to have the good officers? I kept thinking when I was watching this guy, I said, what if all these people taking videos, if they even looked like they were going to charge? And I talked to Chief about it. I said, what would happen if they looked like they were going to charge the dude? I mean, somebody would have gotten shot or something, but they couldn't have shot everybody. But you would hope they would shoot anybody. But if you made him change his position just a little bit, it may have relieved some pressure off the neck. I mean, what do you do? What is it going to take to make to break that blue line of trust that that will make what's going to make the good cops stand up and say, hey, we can't do this anymore, and push who comes to push that dude off of the other one's neck when you got 4 cops there,
right? But
the one who's standing up
neck, is that part of the training? Like, he's handcuffed, he's on the ground on his stomach. I mean, your knee
with 2 other cops on him,
right? I mean, is that part of training?
Well, I can tell you.
That would be, go ahead, Doc. That's not even excessive force. That's brutality. Excessive force is using force necessary to effectuate an arrest. Right. If someone is already in handcuffs, they're under arrest, then anything you do beyond there is police brutality. And as I said before, you have to change the culture of policing. The leadership is going to have to draw a bright yellow line, and you're going to have to hold other people accountable, like supervisors. First-line supervisors accountable for the actions of the people who they supervise. And that philosophy is not a difficult philosophy for us to comprehend if we think about it, because it's done like I said, it's done on football teams. It's done on baseball. The head coach is responsible for the actions of everyone else. And if they're not right, he either cut them or they understand his coaching philosophy. And in the military, it's the same thing. If you're head of a battalion or a unit, you're responsible for the actions of every single person in your particular unit. You just haven't done that with policing. If you come in and set the right culture, draw a bright yellow line. And the prime example, I say this all the time, and he's written a book, unfortunately, he's deceased, is what Reuben Greenberg did in Charleston, South Carolina. He came in, he set a culture. First day he got there, because he was an African-American, he told the police officers, my name is Reuben Greenberg, and I don't sing, and I don't dance. He began to say right away, every action that officers take, they must be able to write a report and articulate any use of force, even if it's minor. And he said, if you can't articulate it, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. He said that when you go out in the community and you make an arrest, after you have the person under control, if the people ask you, why are you making an arrest, then you are to tell them. He made it a requirement. He said, because you are a public servant, you're working for them. And if the arrest is legitimate, then you can tell the people, and the people will understand. If you can say, I'm arresting Chester the child molester, nobody's going to say, no, unarrest him. We want him around our children.
That's right.
He said part of it is a lack of communication. But here's the other piece he did to gain favor, to make sure that police officers understood that he stood behind them too. He said, I will investigate every report of excessive force and brutality, and if the police officer is wrong, I will fire them and prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. He said, however, if a citizen falsely accuses a police officer, I will prosecute that citizen to the fullest extent of the law. When he took over, there were 50. In Charleston, they was averaging 15 murders a year, which for most cities is not big, but it was big there. In 15 years, they had 1 murder. They had white police officers going into majority black communities, and black citizens, when the white officer was attacked, would protect the officer from the perpetrators because they said, that's our officer. So he changed the culture. He changed the philosophy. He still had to dramatically reduce crime. He still arrested bad people. He had a relationship with the Department of Corrections where he said that, in fact, if if in the Department of Corrections, if someone is let out prematurely, we think they got out early, they should have stayed longer. He asked the Department of Corrections to let us know that they're out, and our officers are gonna go visit them and walk down the street with them and just let them know that we know they're out. So he did some innovative and creative things that pleased the community. The police union was good with it, and he reduced crime. And he wrote a book on how to do it called Taking Back Our Streets that any police chief could get. You just got to have educated leadership, because then those undereducated leadership, when a bright yellow line has been drawn, will either stay inside of that line or they'll be gone.
Sure. Well, Chief and Shannon, Chief, Doc and Shannon, we certainly have enjoyed this conversation. Just the perspectives and from both of you. And I just wanted to also add a few more comments that came in on the chat line. Ellen said that I was told long ago by a strong and effective community leader, there are those who can step out in front to stop the traffic, so those with the ability to make change happen can cross the street. She was the one who stepped out. She goes on to say, as an educator of higher learning, my conclusion is academics is not the problem needing solved. And then finally, Gina said that, and this goes back to the talk that you and Shannon talked about, we don't need the talk, they do. So again, we had some great comments from our listeners. And of course, Doc, you and Shannon's perspectives were simply amazing. And we certainly appreciate you coming on and sharing your thoughts, particularly during this very troubled time in our history. And we could talk forever about, the lack of leadership that's coming out of DC and all the other contributing factors to this, when you throw it all in the pot, to all this chaos and confusion we have, but we don't have 10 hours to talk about it. But certainly we appreciate your perspectives, your comments, and your expertise. It's always good to have educators like Shannon, who deal with young people every day, to kind of come on and talk to us about the things they're hearing from our young people who are in junior high and high school, because eventually those are going to be the folks that we're going to be relying on to protest or make it better or become police officers or teachers and so forth. So, Shannon, thank you very much for those perspectives. And Doc, what can we say? Your perspective on what's going on in policing and your years of experience as a academy director, as the head of the Criminal Justice Institute, and an activist in Baltimore City, that gives us tremendous perspectives as well. So I just wanted to say those things before I turn it over to Thin Bad to take us out of here.
Well, thank you for having us, and thank you for allowing us the opportunity and privilege. Nice to meet everyone, and hopefully we'll be able to continue to do this again and continue this conversation.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, thank you.
We enjoyed you. We enjoy you all the time. And Chief Shannon, you all on the left coast. Me and Doc got to go to bed.
Thank you, sir.
We on the East Coast. I don't know what y'all talk. Y'all get to go out. We got curfews and whatnot. We can't even go out and get nothing. So if we ain't got it in the house, we are done.
What time is it there, man?
We enjoyed it. We enjoyed you. I mean, it's a tough conversation to have. Unfortunately, we have to keep having it. Hopefully, this time it'll be something different that comes from this, and that we get back on we become on some kind of a different playing field where where lives matter, where Black Lives Matter, where this stuff has got to stop because it's got to stop. It's got to stop. I can't even wax eloquently anymore. That's it. I don't know if that's because it's almost 11 o'clock where I am,
that's what it is.
I'm just battle fatigued, battle weary. But we wanna thank you, as Chief said, and we want to thank our listeners and our folks who called in, Phil, and those who watch us and listen to us rather. Thanks so much for, as usual, allowing us to give it to you once again, straight, no chaser. Bye.
you've been listening to Straight No Chaser. So join us next week for more hot topics. And also, you can always catch us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and of course, iHeartRadio.